My sister, Chloe, disappeared after falling off a high cliff. Everyone thought I pushed her. Because of this, the people who once cared for me most, my parents, the boy I loved named Mark, and my childhood friends, treated me very badly. Eventually, it was too much to bear, and I tried to end my own life by cutting my wrists. Around that time, we heard news that Chloe was actually alive and living in another country, married, and with kids. That's when they all knew Chloe had planned the whole thing herself. Soon after, they all came asking me to forgive them. The night Mark broke up with me to ask Chloe to marry him, I got very drunk. I mumbled something awful that I deeply regretted. I said, I wish Chloe was never found. The very next day, news came that Chloe had died after falling from a cliff during a movie filming. Once more, everyone thought it was my fault. For the first time, my mom, who had loved me so much, slapped me hard across the face. How could I have such a wicked daughter? She yelled angrily. My dad stood nearby, smoking silently. I tried to explain that yes, I liked Mark, but I never wanted to hurt Chloe. Nobody believed me. My drunken words seemed like proof I had a bad heart. So, when Mark dragged me away, saying I needed to pay for what happened to Chloe, my parents just watched without emotion. They let the man I had loved for more than 20 years push me toward a terrible fate. When Chloe was little, she went missing once because our nanny wasn't paying attention. We found her again when she was 14, but she wasn't close to our parents anymore. The big problem started when Chloe ran home after escaping people who had kidnapped her. She saw me being held in our mom's arms. In that moment, she understood she had a new sister she didn't know about, who had become their new favorite child. She couldn't accept it. Chloe disliked me just like I disliked her. We both felt the other one had stolen the love and attention we deserved. But one day at school, watching videos about kidnapped children living in bad situations made me realize Chloe had suffered a lot. She was the one who truly needed kindness. I wanted to fix things between us. But when I got home, I overheard her telling our mom, "Your special child is Ava, why pretend with me?" That was the final moment. Mom got very angry, saying she would only give Chloe money from then on, since Chloe didn't seem to need her love. Any extra care was for me. Just like that, I became Mom's only special child again, with all her time focused on me. She'd shop with me, come to my school events, and go to tea parties at friends' houses. It looked like she put all her energy into me, but I knew it wasn't completely true. At night, she would look at Chloe's awards, touching them gently with sad eyes. She secretly followed Chloe's school progress, offering money for any reason when Chloe needed it, amounts I couldn't imagine having at my age. With that help, Chloe took lessons, learned skills, and entered contests, becoming a real high society young lady. Proud, sure of herself, hardworking, and modest. Mom's admiration for her was hidden, but clear. She ignored Chloe in person, yet she would put new hair clips on me, praising, "Eva is truly unique." Was I really unique to Mom? I wasn't sure. I just knew my relationship with Chloe got worse. To her, I had stolen her parents' love. She always saw me as an enemy. Many times I tried to get closer, but she just made fun of me, so I stopped trying. She said, "Ava, what can a spoiled child living under Mom and Dad's protection ever do?" She also said, "Do you know how you look? Like a rich family's pampered waste, only caring about having fun." She held up a trophy from a big math competition while everyone congratulated her, and I just felt ashamed. But I couldn't argue. Chloe was amazing, while I felt like I lived in my parents' shadow. Whenever I wanted to try something, Mom would say, "Why is Ava working so hard? Ava has us. She doesn't need to do anything." And I would stand there, red-faced with shame. Nearby, Mark, who had come with me, stepped forward, clapping for Chloe, even though I was uncomfortable. It was the first time he ignored how I felt, watching her closely, full of admiration. A splash of cold water hit my face, pulling me out of my thoughts about the past. I struggled to lift my head to see who was in front of me, but my sight was blurry. I hadn't eaten properly for too long. Mark had kept me locked in this basement for 3 months. Every few days, I would get old bread and cold water. Sometimes, if he was in a bad mood, he'd crush the bread under his shiny shoes, forcing me to crawl and lick the crumbs off the floor like a dog. After that, he would grab my hair roughly and look down at me with hatred, saying, Ava, you're the weakest thing I've ever seen. Chloe was right about every insult she gave you. In the past 3 months, I had become so thin, almost just bones. I could hardly hear his insults because of the ringing in my ears. Even so, my heart beat faster whenever I saw Mark's disapproving eyes through my blurry vision. I couldn't stop remembering a time when I accidentally broke my uncle's expensive vase. I went to Mark with tears in my eyes, and he gently held me. He had said, Ava, don't be scared. I'll protect you. Nothing in this world will ever hurt you, and you should always be a happy little princess. Back then, Mark took the blame for me, got punished by our father, and still told me not to be afraid. Before Chloe returned, he kept his promise to protect me from harm. But Mark, do you even realize that you later became the biggest storm in my life? Yesterday, I dreamed of Chloe. Mark's voice sounded in my ear. I felt his cold fingers touch my cheek. I opened my mouth to speak, but after 3 days with no water, my throat was too dry to make a sound. I suspected my voice could never sing nicely again. At that moment, I thought about the few fans I had. It was sad enough for them to like a controversial person, and now their idol couldn't even use her best talent. I couldn't imagine how much people would make fun of them because of me. Ava and I both wanted careers in entertainment, but our family only had enough money and connections for one star. One of us would have to step back so the other could succeed. When my parents first told us this, they didn't say much, but deep down, I knew the one they planned to support wasn't me. I told Mom I liked singing and dancing more than acting on screen. She praised me for being understanding, while secretly sighing with relief. As expected, Chloe got all the best opportunities and won acting awards when she was still young. I was left with half-hearted support from our family, getting called a resource drain on stage. Eventually, people online started comparing me to Chloe. They said I took easy paths, sticking to songs and dances, while Chloe worked hard on her acting and chose the best movie roles. That's when it hit me. Everything done for Chloe was carefully planned, while I barely got any chances. The family probably decided I was meant to help her succeed the moment she won her first big award. It became clear when they said, Ava doesn't need to work hard, just come home and be our little princess. Saying I didn't need a career meant my own dreams and passions didn't matter to them. Seeing my thoughts drift, Mark grew angrier. I could hear him make an annoyed sound before I heard a belt being taken off. Mark unfastened it and whipped me again and again. Why did Chloe die? Yet someone like you is still alive? Mark's crazy voice reached my ears. It seemed he really missed Chloe. His voice shook when he mentioned her, but I couldn't feel any sympathy for him. The whip left bleeding marks on my skin. I was in so much pain I couldn't even cry out. I just fell onto the cold floor, my bones making a sharp sound as they hit. The next moment, the basement door opened. Mark dragged me by the wrist up to the rooftop. After 3 months, it was the first time I saw sunlight. The weak sun hurt my eyes, making tears fall. Through my blurry vision, I saw someone familiar. It was Sarah, my childhood friend, who used to be my closest buddy. She later became very attached to Chloe, acting like her helper. But even then, Sarah stayed my best friend. She often tried to fix the problems between Chloe and me. If anyone could save me, it would be Sarah. I tried to open my mouth to make a sound, but my throat was too dry from having no food or water for days. Mark noticed what I was trying to do and pulled me even harder. Do you dare ask for help? When Chloe fell off the cliff, did you ever think how helpless she felt? He said, pulling me so hard that I fell, hitting my head against the stairs. I felt a cut open up and everything turned red from blood. I thought I heard something fall. Mark? What's happening there? Sarah's voice came from the living room nearby. Mark just laughed coldly. Just knocked over some useless trash. Oh, okay. I'll go help in the garden, Sarah replied, sounding relieved as she walked away. As her steps faded, I felt hopeless. Mark was never going to let me go. He believed I killed Chloe. So did my parents, which is why they let him take me without fighting back. Now, even Sarah walked past me, leaving me with no one. Mark dragged me to the rooftop and pushed my face against the railing. My head wound was bleeding a lot, forcing tears from my eyes. Scared already? I heard Mark's voice beside me. Seeing me suffer always seemed to make him feel better. He softened his voice slightly, but his words still scared me deeply. He asked, Ava, which do you think would hurt more, falling from a building or cliff? He had lost his mind. His grip on my hair tightened. I struggled seeing the hatred in his eyes. I suddenly remembered following him around as a child. Back then, Mark was so gentle. He would carefully hold my hurt hand and blow on it softly. He used to say, Ava, why are you always so clumsy? Always getting hurt. He also said, it's okay. Eva doesn't need to be smart, just happy and free like a little princess. I couldn't connect the gentle boy from my memories with the violent man before me. Sad tears fell as I tried to speak. I didn't hurt Chloe. Bang! Before I could finish, Mark suddenly pulled me up and slammed my head against the railing. You still won't admit it? You're always lying, always so cruel. Everything spun around me. Mark's hate-filled face went in and out of focus. I couldn't hold on. My feet slipped and I almost fell over the edge. Enough, Mark, she's still family. Dad's voice came from far away, just in time to stop Mark from throwing me down. I looked down and saw the garden below was full of people, all looking up. They were family, friends, the people I once loved most. Now all of them looked at me with the same cold expression. Sarah was there too. Our eyes met for a second before she looked away, disgusted. That's when I knew she hated me too, because of Chloe, but I didn't do it. Just the night before Chloe's accident that they had patted my shoulder saying, Ava, you're always such a good, sensible kid. I could only cry after Chloe and Mark left happily together. Sometimes I really envied Chloe. She was loved so much. My parents said they didn't care about her, but nobody knew her better than they did. Walking down the street, they'd suddenly remember which show Chloe was performing in, which song. But they could never remember that I disliked pink dresses. I liked sky blue, warm orange. But no matter what I told them, my next birthday gift was always a pink dress, the color Chloe wore when she disappeared. My mom always remembered that. Even now, it was this faded pink dress that made them emotional when they looked at me. My parents took me from Mark's house, but not for my benefit. They were much more worried about Mark, their future son-in-law, than about me. Even though Chloe is gone, they told Mark, you're still the son-in-law we accept. Look ahead, don't torture yourself, or you'll worry those who love you. As they said this, they remembered me, the cause of all the sadness. When they turned to me, all their warmth disappeared. In the car ride home, nobody spoke to me. They brought me home and ignored me completely, leaving me alone. Still, I felt a tiny bit of relief. I touched my wrist, thin like a twig, and thought I'd get fully better before seeing my fans again. Otherwise, they'd be sad seeing me like this. But the day after I got home, my studio announced I was leaving the music world forever because of my mistakes, planning to spend my life making up for them. It was hard not to link this to Chloe's fall 3 months earlier. In normal families, losing one daughter makes parents treasure the other one more. But my studio, run by the family company, ended my career to pay for Chloe's accident with my life. It was almost like they were directly accusing me of killing Chloe. My announcement caused a huge stir online. Everyone debated it fiercely. Chloe's fans flooded my social media, endlessly insulting me. Soon, even people who weren't her fans joined in. They didn't know me or Chloe, but in this trend of piling on, they needed someone to blame. My messages were filled with words like murderer and killer. A new wave of online anger started. Everyone acted like a judge, attacking me eagerly. In this flood of hate, my fans' voices seemed tiny. If Ava did kill someone, wouldn't the police do something? The fact that she's still free means she's innocent, right? I saw this comment scroll by quickly. I couldn't help smiling a little. Yes, such a simple truth. Even a fan I'd never met understood it. But my parents didn't get it. My childhood friend didn't get it. My best friend didn't get it. They were sure I was guilty just because I once said I wished Chloe had never returned. But that night, I was really drunk. The words I didn't get to say were, if only I had never been born. At least then, one of us could have had all the love we both wanted, instead of getting little bits from our parents and friends and looking at each other with anger. But no one listened to my defense. My voice was lost in the waves of hatred. They each felt sorry. My parents regretted ignoring Chloe, Mark regretted being close to me, and Sarah regretted trusting me and failing to protect her best friend. Faced with such deep regret, words felt useless. They all had heavy guilt, and they put it all on me to make up for it. The day I was kicked out, I surprised myself with how calm I was. As even when my mom hit me and screamed curses, I felt relieved, like a weight was lifted. Finally, the last connection was broken. I couldn't stay in this house where I'd lived for 24 years because seeing me made my mom suddenly go crazy with sadness and tears. Seeing me reminded her of her missing, likely dead, older daughter. It reminded her of Chloe's look seeking family love and her own coldness toward her. Ava, you took the easy life meant for Chloe and even her life. Why? Why wasn't it you who died? My mom screamed, throwing my things out the door one by one. Her wild look had lost all its usual grace. It was autumn then. I bent down and found a sky blue album cover among the pink dresses. It was my first album. I had once given it to my parents as a gift, back when their love still felt like mine. It was the only thing in the house that truly belonged to me. I put the album in my coat pocket and turned into the cold autumn wind, walking away. This time, I didn't even take my phone. Nobody wanted to be connected to the name Ava anyway. With the last cash in my pocket, I checked into a hotel. As I filled the bathtub, I saw myself in the mirror for a rare moment. It had been a long time since I faced myself, not since Mark locked me in the basement. I knew my skin was damaged. I had become very ugly, no longer the pretty little princess they once called me. Now just a murderer to them, the one who most deserved to die. I moved my hand, tracing the pale, thin face in the mirror, stopping at those empty eyes that once cried and laughed, felt love and pain, but always had a spark. Goodbye. As the water slowly filled the tub, I said farewell to the girl in the mirror through the rising steam. Hope in your next life, you'll find love and loyalty. I put on my favorite sky blue dress and slowly got into the tub. The water covered my face with a warm feeling, like a mother's hug. My wrist went limp outside the tub, and my fingers let go, dropping the blood-stained blade to the floor. Blood dripped from my fingertips, making a warm red pool. The last sound before everything faded was the news on TV. An actress thought dead after a cliff accident a year ago was seen by tourists overseas, holding her baby and playing with her husband on the street. The cliff mystery now looked like an escape from a marriage. The hotel phone rang loudly, call after call, turning into an annoying background noise before the world went completely dark. I thought I heard the hotel door crash open, but I didn't have the strength left to know whose voice was calling out. I'm tired. This time, I can finally rest. Before I turned 13, everything was happy and easy. I didn't know sadness then, only that I had the best parents and a close friend. At 13, Chloe came back. First, my parents' attention was taken away. They felt guilty about Chloe and couldn't fix it, which made them focus even more on her. Kids get jealous. If you can't comfort her, focus more on Ava in front of Chloe. Eventually, she'll want our love too. On a stormy night, I grabbed my pillow and went to my parents' room, only to overhear them talking. That night, I sat alone in the hallway, hugging my knees for a long time. For the first time, I realized my parents' love for me had changed since Chloe returned. No wonder, no matter how often I told Mom I wanted an orange dress, she kept getting me pink ones. It turned out Mom stopped caring about my preferences long ago. Later, Mom said she was worried Chloe might be scared of the thunder, so she came out to check on her. She walked down the hall without seeing me hiding or noticing my empty room door wide open. But the next morning at breakfast, she'd notice if Chloe yawned and worry all day if she hadn't slept well, so this was how it always was. The love I thought I held on to tightly had long been packaged up and given away, like a pretty gift box, shiny but thrown out after being opened. Back then, Mark was on my side. He lived next door and refused to be friendly to Chloe when she first came back. Once, when Chloe insulted me, calling me stupid and useless while our parents were out, Mark stood up for me. He firmly told her, "Your bad luck isn't your sister's fault. She's part of this family just like you and deserves your parents' love. You can ask for compensation from many people, but your sister owes you nothing." He understood everything back then. But later, I don't know when, Mark started looking at me the same way Chloe did. At first, he'd sound annoyed like, "Ava, why are you always so clueless? What are we going to do with you?" Eventually, that frustrated look became rare, replaced by the same lack of interest everyone else showed. One day, I wore a new dress, hoping to go with my parents to Chloe's piano contest, but Mark stopped me at the door. "Ava, Chloe doesn't want to see you. Don't hold her back." "Ava, Chloe." His words separated them from me, putting them in a different world. At that moment, I watched the boy I'd secretly liked for 17 years turn away, never looking back at me in my memories. I thought I'd get used to it. Used to being ignored, left out, and argued against. Used to seeing the people closest to me take someone else's side while I stayed put. But when Sarah, defending Chloe, carefully accused me of being jealous, my heart still felt a sharp pain. Well, I thought, maybe it's better this way. This way, I can give up on this world where nobody wants to love me without any hesitation. "Ava, Ava, wake up." So familiar. It's Mom's voice. She sounds very upset, like she's crying. "Ava, Daddy was wrong about you before. Daddy is sorry. Please wake up now." It's Dad's voice. Strange. I don't see his face, yet he sounds so much older. "Why are you so silly hurting yourself?" This time it's Mark. I don't want to hear him, so I frown. Why is Ava's heartbeat getting weaker? "Doctor! Where's the doctor?" Huh. The patient might have given up the will to live due to emotional shock. There's silence in the room for a moment. Sorry. She seems unwilling to hear my voice. I'll leave. Footsteps slowly walk away, but my heartbeat keeps weakening. Finally, Mom collapses onto me, sobbing. "Sweetie, please wake up, even if it's just to yell at me." "Sarah, Ava used to be closest to her. Let her talk to Ava. Maybe she'll want to wake up." "Sarah, I remember our last conversation. It was when she heard Chloe had died. She was about to travel for work, but rushed back. She slapped me hard. You couldn't even spare your own sister for a man? Being friends with you is the biggest regret of my life." That was the last thing she said. I doubt she ever wants to see me again. But Mom says Sarah's been crying a lot at home. Too upset to come? Unsure how to face Ava? How could she be just scared? She clearly hates me and doesn't want to see me. But Sarah eventually came, on a night when Mom, Dad, and Mark weren't there. She gently took my hand like when we were kids. Tears wet the back of my hand, and I heard Sarah sobbing. She said, "Ava, I'm sorry. It turns out I was the worst person." She continued, "Chloe fooled us all. She never saw any of us as friends. We were just tools for her. How stupid I was to look up to her and misunderstand my best friend." Lying calmly in the hospital bed, listening to Sarah, I felt nothing. Maybe, I thought, Sarah remembered wrong. We weren't best friends anymore. She herself ruined our plan to go to the same college. After high school, she went south with Chloe and Mark. We ended things then. She told me, "Ava, Chloe is right. Even with our advantages, we can't just rely on our parents and have no ambition. I'm sorry, Ava, but I don't want to be like you." We're on different paths now, but now she's crying so hard, holding my hands, saying sorry over and over. She started remembering the good times before Chloe arrived. Back then, we wore matching dresses and promised to be sisters forever, but that promise can't be kept. Here I am in a coma while Sarah cries next to me. The next day, my parents were shocked when they visited. My mom sent Sarah home and gently stroked my hair by the bedside. It felt just like when I was sick as a child, and she stayed with me, comforting me. She said, "Ava, my sweet girl, wake up soon. I bought you lots of pretty pink dresses. When you wake up, you can come home and be our little princess." Is that true, Mom and Dad? Am I really your little princess? The daughter you always loved was the one who grew up strong despite problems, the one who could bring you honor. I remember Mom also saying behind my back, "Ava isn't very smart. We can't leave the family business to her. Chloe is the one with ideas. We should focus on helping Chloe." Yet sitting here, she sounds like she loves me so much. That night, they found my old diaries, hoping reading them aloud might wake me up. The first diary: "Today is my birthday, and Mom gave me another pink dress. I told her last time I wanted a warm orange dress so people feel warm when they see me. But why doesn't she listen? The way she looks at me in a pink dress, it always seems like she's seeing someone else. Who could that be?" That was from my 13th birthday, the day before Chloe came back. After that, I never had a birthday just for me again. When my mom gasped, flipping pages quickly, I knew she was looking for the birthday entries. As she suspected, each year I stubbornly wished in my diary for dresses of different colors. The last birthday entry showed my doubt. "I think the daughter wearing a pink dress Mom truly wants to see isn't me. I'm a replacement for her guilt. But my foolish mom, if you never tell the one who loves pink, she'll stop wearing it, and the one who doesn't will never wear what she loves." I clearly remembered writing at the end, "But it's okay. As long as it makes Mom happy, I don't mind wearing something I don't like. I can pretend to be her perfect daughter if it makes her happy." That was my last entry. Soon after, Mark asked Chloe to marry him. The next day, Chloe had her accident, and I was locked in a basement for a year to pay for it. After that year of being trapped and hurt, I developed serious mental and physical problems and lost the ability to write. Realizing this, my mom frantically searched my diaries for more entries, suddenly sobbing hard. She cried with such force, like pouring out her heart. Dad rushed in, holding her as she cried helplessly. Ava knew. She understood everything. "She hates me, honey. She must hate me." She cried about how she couldn't even remember what I liked, yet I never complained and carried my sadness alone just to keep them happy. From that day on, Mom became obsessed, reading every word in my diaries, searching for proof she deserved forgiveness. Maybe not finding the answer she wanted, she pulled out things she bought for me, only to sadly realize they were all things Chloe would like. Eventually, she broke down, desperately trying to find evidence she had truly loved me. But the more she remembered, the more she realized with despair that her love was always meant for Chloe, who was now living happily overseas, and I had known this all along. I heard her repeatedly calling Chloe overseas, with only a few calls getting through. From their reactions, Chloe wasn't friendly at all. They had 2 daughters, but now both were lost. When Mark visited me again, my parents' attitude toward him had cooled down, even slightly unfriendly. They saw the scars he left on me, but chose to forget they once allowed him to do it all. I heard a thud, like Mark had fallen to his knees. His voice trembled with regret. "I went to see her," he said. "She confessed. It was all a plan to make us unhappy, to torture us forever. She never loved me, never cared." His voice was hoarse, helpless, as the large hospital room stayed silent, offering no comfort. Once they all seemed like a perfect family united against me, the evil woman needing punishment. But now, they realized the one they loved hated them, while the one they hated once foolishly loved them all. Mark finally couldn't handle it. He rushed to my bedside, grabbed my hand tightly, and let cold tears fall. He kept saying sorry, saying it was all his fault. that he judged people wrong, didn't trust Ava, and hurt Ava. Crying out my name, he pleaded, "Please wake up, Ava. Can we start over?" As he spoke, I felt a ring slide onto my finger. Its coldness sent chills through me. Suddenly, I heard my mom gasp, and Mark, kneeling by my bed, was pushed aside. "Get out of here! Ava doesn't want to see you!" My heartbeat was clearly slowing down. Someone ripped the ring from my finger and threw it away. The room filled with noise. Dad calling the doctor, Mom yelling at Mark, and Mark's frantic apologies. The doctor arrived and silenced everyone. He said I had been severely shocked and had unconsciously given up on living. At this rate, I might never wake up. At that moment, lying in darkness, I felt strangely thrilled. I had listened to their crying long enough. Now I could show them my real feelings. I wanted them to know that just hearing their voices made me sick. I couldn't stand them. I'd rather die than be near them. I was once dressed by my parents in fancy clothes, told to be the world's purest princess, then put in a garden for everyone to admire. People praised my parents' selfless love, but no one cared how the doll felt. She just had to smile prettily and stay innocent. But now, I couldn't even do that. The window hiding my anger swung open, screaming to the world, "I hate you. I hate everyone. Even those I once loved like my parents and that boy." They wanted a pure-hearted princess but fed her fake love. How could they ask for forgiveness? My parents sobbed as they left while the doctor tried everything. But I was so tired. I didn't want to stay and listen to the fake apologies of those who hurt me. Until one day, I heard that voice again. That familiar sound. Once a nightmare. If you hate them, why not get revenge? Stop those who hurt you. An eye for an eye. It's better than lying here. I said it before. You really are a loser. Chloe's voice echoed clearly in my mind, still full of spite. She asked, "Do you know why I win?" After seeing people's true colors, I never got attached. No matter how they treat me, they're just tools for my goals. But you, Ava, only a loser would be soft-hearted and keep hoping for love from those who harm them. You look for love from people who don't know how to love, like you can't live without it, and that's why you always lose. Your head is full of flowers and useless thoughts. Her words were sharp and painful. Even now they bothered me. Anger rushed through me, and my fingers twitched slightly. Chloe's voice in the room went quiet for a moment, then came more mocking laughter. "Ava, did you know? Out of everyone, I hate you the most. How could someone so stupid and useless be my sister? We're nothing alike. Are we really related? Angry? So what? You can only lie here. Believe it or not, when you die, they will quickly get over their guilt, forgive each other, and comfort one another. Your death will only make them closer." She said, "Whether you admit it or not, Ava, these people you loved so deeply are just naturally awful." The boiling anger cooled. My numb arms and legs began to feel cold. I knew Chloe was right. My parents wept from guilt, but it was mixed with sadness from Chloe's betrayal. Still, no sadness lasts forever, and their lives would go on happily. No trace of me would remain. After a long silence, Chloe leaned close and whispered one last thing. "Not satisfied? Then get up and get revenge, Ava. Don't spare anyone. Not even me." Chloe's presence faded. My eyelashes fluttered in the dark. The next day, my parents arrived at the hospital as usual, only to find me sitting up, talking about recovery with the doctor. My mom looked like she had so much to say, but she met my cold look and fell silent. "Ava, it's Mom. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't you recognize me? It's Mom," she almost begged, grabbing my wrist. But I calmly pulled away. "Ma'am, please calm down," the doctor interrupted, explaining to my mom that the pain before my suicide attempt triggered my body's self-defense. My brain shut down my ability to feel emotions to stop me from having suicidal thoughts again. So now that I was awake, I ignored everyone else's feelings. When my mom heard this, she looked at me, almost unable to accept it. She couldn't believe her once loving daughter now saw her as a stranger. Crying, she kept calling my name, saying I was her only good child. Hearing this, I couldn't help but look up calmly and ask her, "What about Chloe?" Mom's crying stopped suddenly. "Ava, what does that mean?" she asked carefully. So I patiently repeated, "The only person you care about is Chloe. If I'm your only one, then what is Chloe?" Words like this would never have come from me before. Mom couldn't take it anymore and fainted. But what's this compared to what's coming? When Dad held her and angrily came towards me to scold me, I calmly lifted my scarred face and smirked. "What, Dad? Sending your daughter away to be punished again?" He froze, words stuck. For the first time, it seemed like he truly looked at my face, ruined by scars. The anger in his eyes faded, replaced by tiredness and confusion. When I finished the discharge papers, they naturally expected me to get in the car and go home. I laughed and said, "Dad, Mom, when you kicked me out last time, you said I was no longer family. Did you forget?" They were shocked. Mom looked hurt and stepped forward, trying to take my hand, but I turned away. "Can't you give Mom and Dad another chance? We know we were wrong now. You used to love me so much. I'm your mom. We share blood." She started crying again, but stopped when she saw my cold look. I touched my cheek and laughed dryly. "We are not mother and daughter. We are nothing alike." I used to be proud I looked like my mom, but now my face is covered in scars. There's nothing left to prove there was ever love between us. After leaving the hospital, I moved into the house Chloe arranged for me. But that doesn't mean I've forgiven her. Like she said, I'll get revenge on each of them. I heard Chloe went home during this time. Faced with our parents' accusations, she smashed everything until they didn't dare say another word. "I'm not like that idiot Ava. Don't think you can use me to take out your anger," she yelled before leaving Mom crying. Mom kept saying she made a mistake, that Ava was the child who loved her most. She regretted pushing away the one who cared. But so what? The fact is, she had two daughters, and both were thrown away by her. One she loved and one who loved her. On the third day after moving into the place Chloe set up, I met Mark. He stood across the street in the crowd, silently watching me. He looked more tired and thinner. Sarah told me, "Mark wants to make things right, thinking it will fix things. Ava, I won't ask you to forgive him. You have the right to punish all of us," Sarah said softly over the phone, her voice careful. "Can we still be friends?" I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't expect she'd be as unrealistic as Mark. Sarah, hearing me call her name, sounded noticeably happier. I asked, "When I almost escaped from Mark's basement, I heard footsteps outside. I wanted to call for help, but that person locked the door from the outside. That was you, right?" The breathing on the phone suddenly stopped. I continued. "That time, if I had escaped, I could have called the police and protected myself. Then I wouldn't have been chained up when Mark caught me again. Later, he beat me, and I couldn't avoid getting cut in the face by broken pottery, leaving scars. You saw the scars while I was asleep, didn't you?" "Ava, She tried to speak, but I cut her off. "I often wonder what made you turn against me. When we were kids, I shared everything with you. Clothes, friends, family. What I had, you always had too. You always had a special place in my world. Yet you pushed me away, saying I couldn't keep up with you and Chloe." "Sarah," I called softly, like when we were kids. "Did you ever think maybe if it weren't for you, I could have gone further? Sure, I'm not as smart or talented as Chloe, but I have my own interests. She plays piano, I love dancing. She's good at math, I'm good at art. But Sarah said she didn't want me far away or leaving her for other friends. So, in our third year of high school, I gave up the art training I was signed up for to stay and prepare for college with her. Later, I went north alone, while she stayed south with Chloe and Mark. Their connection was so strong that even knowing what closing that door meant for me, she still did it. "So, if it were you, would you forgive?" I asked her. Her answer was nonstop sobbing. Mark's appearances became more common. He got bolder after being hesitant at first. I always saw him across the street when I watered flowers on my balcony or went out. I ignored it, but Mark started to seem hopeful. One day, while I was walking, a neighbor's dog got loose and ran right at me. In that instant, my mind flashed back to the basement with the hungry hunting dog Mark brought. He mocked me from above, tilting my chin with his shoe, watching my fear as the dogs surrounded me. I'd been afraid of dogs since I was little, and that fear peaked then. I couldn't help shivering, too scared to even cry. The same thing happened now. I stood frozen until Mark came over, chased the dog away, then turned and hugged me. I was shaking hard in his arms, just like when I was small. He gently patted my back, comforting me softly. Ava, don't be scared. Big brother Mark is here. Until he heard my trembling plea. I'm sorry. I won't be jealous of Chloe anymore. Please stop. The hope in Mark's eyes died. In the end, he moved into my home. Just like Sarah said, he genuinely wanted to make amends. He stayed close, trying hard to please me, even though my moods changed constantly. I'd wake from a nap, storm into his room, slap his handsome face, and choke him. I'd lose control after a simple chat and curse him horribly. Within weeks, he had scars from my cigarette burns, yet he always took it with a look of deep love. After I hit him, he'd even gently rub my hands, asking if they hurt. I'd laugh, then grab his hair and slam his head into the coffee table. Nowhere near enough, Mark, I'd say with a smile. Compared to the pain you caused me, this is nothing. As time went on, his body got more wounds. Even high-necked sweaters couldn't hide them. When I hurt his eye with an ashtray, Mark's mom saw it and came crying to me overnight. She didn't ask me to forgive Mark, only to let him go. As she spoke, my eyes fell on Mark standing at the door behind her. I smiled slightly. All right, just tell Mark not to show up in front of me anymore. But he did. The next day, he stood there as if nothing happened, greeting me from below my home. I had changed the locks. He couldn't get in, so he just waited outside, getting blown by wind and soaked by rain, stubbornly staying there like a dog paying for its mistakes. I let him in after 3 days when he passed out from low blood sugar at my door. I called security to drag him inside, then filled a bucket with cold water and dumped it on his head. Mark woke up without any anger, looked at me, and smiled stubbornly. He said, Ava, my mom agreed. We can be together. His mind had started slipping lately, often lost in his own thoughts. I didn't argue, just crouched down and spoke clearly, word by word. What about Chloe? The mention of Chloe froze Mark, whose eyes were full of dreams. He went quiet, hands on his head, seeming to be in great pain. Chloe, he muttered, as if the shame of betrayal filled him again. After a while, he lifted his red eyes and said, I never liked Chloe. I was just interested in someone different from our usual friends. I confused that with love and hurt the one I really loved. Really? I looked down at him just as he once did to me. I said, I'll give you a chance. If you make me happy, I'll let us announce our relationship publicly. My parents were under a lot of pressure lately. Our family and Mark's used to be close business partners, but since Mark took charge, he started causing problems. That day, Dad couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to meet Mark to talk. When he arrived, all he saw was me in the chair, scars marking my face. He sagged like all life left him. Even his usually straight back was bent. Ava, did you do all this? He murmured, confused. But why? The family business is yours too. Not yet, I said, resting my chin on my hand, amused by my once strong father's defeat. My words hit him, and suddenly his anger flared. You're so eager. I'm not dead yet. It will all be yours. But I don't believe you, I whispered, and he froze. You never kept any promises you made me. You said I was your most precious, but never told me about Chloe before me. You said I'd be the happiest princess, always supported by you. I rolled up my sleeves to show the scars on my arms. Whip marks, cuts, burns. The same marks covered my neck, shoulders, and face. My dad's eyes were wide with shock. Next to me, Mark's eyes widened, and he stumbled back, collapsing after hitting a chair. He'd been very out of it lately. I slipped something into his daily food, but I still needed him to deal with Dad, so I didn't use too much. He's just so guilty. Even looking at my scars makes him break down. Even you all think these scars are ugly and scary. But Dad, you were the one who allowed Mark to take me from home. Because the older daughter died, the younger one had to pay. My life seemed worthless to you, I said with a cold face. Then I stood up and walked over to him. I used to believe your promises, that you loved me most. But you didn't keep them. Since that's the case, your late love isn't needed anymore. You need to give me some real compensation. My father was silent for a long time. Finally, he opened his mouth but couldn't speak. After signing the paper transferring his shares, he asked me, Ava, spare your mom. She really loved you in the past. She just didn't think things through then. I'll think about it, I smiled easily. A week after getting my parents' shares, I sold them for a high price. I have no skill in running a company and I don't trust anyone around me. I thought at least my parents would call to yell at me, but nothing. They seemed to accept their retirement naturally. Mom even happily told me, now I don't have to help your dad mingle at events. I can spend more time making it up to you and loving you. Mom, save those tricks to win back your older daughter. I don't need it. My cold voice echoed. The voice on the phone fell silent for a long time. Then slowly, sobbing began. Ava, Mom really only wants to love you. Mom knows she was wrong. Give Mom... Before she finished, I hung up. Still, she didn't give up and kept trying to fix things. Soup she made, clothes she designed, would appear at my door every few days. Each time I'd smile. Is this something Chloe liked? Mom's face would turn pale, her eyes filled with sadness. Ava, Mom's not seeing you as Chloe anymore. You're my only daughter now. I'm your only daughter, but you don't even know what soup I like? I said, throwing the nice thermos and bag in the trash, watching her walk away sadly. The truth is, I lied. Today's soup was my favorite flavor. It's not the soup I hate, just my parents. Mom might have understood this, or maybe not. She grew more obsessed with claiming me, hoping late motherly love would change my mind. Then, on a stormy night, she called, wanting to sing me to sleep like when I was little. I softly told her, I'll give you a chance. Mom willingly walked into that small, dark room. There was food, drink, even a big soft bed. The only things missing were sound and light. Inside, she'd be surrounded by endless darkness. I told Mom she could stay there for 10 days, feel the pain I went through, then I'd forgive her. She went without hesitation. On the 10th day, when Dad let her out, he saw a woman broken down, crying. No hope, no light, no future, just endless darkness. Just 10 days, and you couldn't handle it. But I had to endure someone else's torture day and night. I curled my lips into a mean smile, not expecting that the next moment Mom rushed over and wrapped me in a tight hug. Without a word, she held me strongly. My daughter. My daughter. She held on so tightly, nothing like her usual elegant self. It felt like she wanted to push me back into her own body. I was forced against her chest, hearing the deep hum of her cries. Mom knows she was wrong. Really wrong this time. I'm sorry for making you suffer so much. I'm not a good mom. Her cries were intense, like releasing all her sadness. Tears streamed down her cheeks, soaking my hair. Suddenly, it all felt pointless. So, I kept my promise and forgave Mom. I forgive you, but I won't love you again. We're even now, and there should be no more connection, I said, turning to leave. Mom cried out sadly, but this time she didn't reach out. Yet she'll live the rest of her life regretting it. After selling the shares, I had nothing left to worry about. I looked at Mark standing eagerly before me, He wasn't useful anymore. Ava, give me another chance. Let me take care of you for the rest of my life, he said, kneeling, eyes full of love. Around us were so-called mutual friends he brought for support. Mutual friends. I wasn't really close with them. Even back in school, they were with Sarah, Mark, and Chloe in their group. Thinking about this, I ignored Mark's kneeling proposal and looked around, spotting that familiar figure in the crowd. Sarah, in a pink dress, watched nervously from afar. In the next moment, I slipped my finger into Mark's ring. Cheers broke out around us. Mark's mom never trusted me. When Chloe was around, she'd often praise me, obviously, showing she preferred me to put Chloe down. She even jokingly asked me to be her daughter-in-law. This made me, who did nothing, seem like the bad guy breaking Mark and Chloe up in his eyes. Now my face and reputation were ruined by Mark last year. Mark's mom doesn't want a daughter-in-law like Chloe who acts superior, nor does she want someone like me with a ruined reputation and face. She tried countless times to remind Mark that my reasons for agreeing to marry him weren't good. After all, I never hid my hatred for Mark from her. But Mark was obsessed. When he was excited about a future with Chloe, she was already planning to leave with her childhood love. His deep feelings for Chloe became a joke, and he kept trying to make up for it with me. In his memories, I used to be the one who loved him most. That's how I understand Mark. Otherwise, I can't explain why he'd act so sorry after causing so much pain. Was he crazy? I almost forgot. Mark wasn't crazy before, but maybe now he truly is. Thinking about the things I'd been secretly adding to his food and seeing how he lost control more easily, I just smiled a little. Finally, when Mark's mom picked a public place to cause trouble for me again, I pretended to have a panic attack related to past trauma. I was trying to mess with Mark's mind, watching his eyes get red and his actions become wilder until he pushed his beloved mother down the stairs in front of many cameras. Mark's mom hit her head and was rushed to the hospital. When Mark's dad arrived, he slapped Mark hard. He demanded Mark break up with me immediately, but Mark refused. After we got home, he kept asking me obsessively, "Ava, do you still love me? You're not going to leave me, right? I'm going to take care of you forever this time," he said, hugging me tightly. I looked up at the ceiling light. "No, Mark, I don't love you. I am going to leave you. I'll never forgive someone who hurt me. I hope you suffer forever." Because of what happened to Mark's mom, his whole family opposed our marriage more than ever. Mark's dad even came to see me, asking me to leave Mark. I agreed, but Mark seemed possessed. When he couldn't find me at home, he lost his mind. He nearly tore the city apart looking for me, but with his dad's power controlling things, there was no way he'd ever find me. Finally, after realizing I really did leave him, Mark cut his wrists. Mark's dad gave in. He told me that even in a coma, Mark kept calling my name. Before I left, Mark's dad pleaded with me, saying Mark was a kind kid who cared deeply for others. He just got tricked. I said nothing. Does Mark really care for others? I thought back to how he used to take care of me as a kid, and later how he always defended Chloe. Sure, he might feel things strongly, but that doesn't change that he hurt me badly. He'll never deserve forgiveness. Our wedding took place on a dark, rainy day. Even though the fancy hotel had a glass roof letting light in, keeping the gloom outside, the guests, all dressed up with smiles, couldn't fight the storm. When the first thunderclap hit, the person officiating asked if I would love and care for him, rich or poor, healthy or sick, until death. I suddenly couldn't help but smile. Mark stood across from me, sensing something. Those warm eyes looked at me with a desperate plea. I just kept smiling at him. The whole ceremony stopped. Tears started to fill Mark's eyes, turning red. He trembled and called out softly, "Ava." The guests exchanged confused looks at the unexpected situation. Suddenly, the large screen behind me flickered. The next moment, Mark appeared, face red from drinking, like a lost puppy kneeling at my feet, murmuring in pain. At first, he called Chloe's name over and over. I reminded him that Chloe was having someone else's child. Mark looked up, confused. When his eyes landed on my scar-covered face, his eyes suddenly turned red. "Ava, Ava," He stuttered, touching the scars. I'm so sorry. I turned my face to the camera, showing all of the scars on my face and body. The video me asked Mark, "What are you sorry for?" As if wanting to forget everything, Mark held his head, crying in pain. I'm such a monster, he said. I shouldn't have locked you up, or hit you, or scared you with the dogs. You always loved looking pretty since you were little. The rest of the video was just him rolling on the ground, hitting his head, cursing himself. Mark, you are such a beast! By now, it was pretty clear. The guests started murmuring, pointing, and talking about Mark's family. Mark's dad and mom's faces turned serious, especially Mark's dad. He couldn't believe I'd do this. He was about to scold me on stage when my uninvited mom rushed forward and scratched his face. You'll all pay! You'll all pay! She screamed, tears streaming down. Me too! Neither of us deserves Ava's forgiveness. Mark, standing before me, had gone pale and looked like he might faint. The officiant was lost too. He'd never handled something like this. Just as he was about to speak, I took the microphone. I looked at Mark and quietly said, I don't want to, Mark. I don't want to be your bride. I'm not crazy enough to fall in love with the monster who hurt me. There was a time I really liked you, so much that even when you loved my sister Chloe, I stepped aside quietly and wished you well because to me, you were the best guy and I didn't want to bother you. Then my tone changed. But from the moment you scolded me for Chloe without asking, doubted me, and even punished me for her before knowing the truth, I stopped loving you. I just hated you. Like trash. Like a poisonous snake. I wish I could tear you apart. Ava. Mark stared at me, emptiness and pain in his voice. At that moment, seeing his regret and sorrow, I felt a rush of satisfaction. Do you even deserve to use the word love, Mark? I asked him. In the end, he couldn't stand up straight and started to fall back. The officiant reached out, but then something unexpected happened. A small figure in a pink dress rushed onto the stage. In front of everyone, she stabbed Mark right in the heart. How dare you embarrass me? What did I do wrong? Sarah cried, tears streaming. Just die already! The crowd gasped. Soon, security handled Sarah. They held her next to the fallen Mark. Both their faces were stained red. Mark's eyes stayed locked on mine, never leaving. Ava, I heard his weak voice. I'm sorry. I had no patience left for his apologies. I turned and walked away. I'd heard sorry too many times since I woke up. It was tiring. Mark didn't survive. Sarah stabbed him 4 times, hitting vital spots. Mark's family fell apart because of it. In the police station, Sarah insisted I made her do it, but she couldn't prove it. So, other than Sarah and me, no one knew how awkward she felt when I revealed, you like Mark too, right? First, it was me, then Chloe. Mark's attention never fell on Sarah, but she still liked him and became friends with Chloe and me just to be near him. She even convinced me not to pursue art, afraid she wouldn't have a reason to see Mark if I left. The friendship I valued so much was just her plan to get close to a guy. How sad. When I told her Mark thought her crush was disgusting, she went mad. All those secret feelings were crushed. Before I left, I warned her Mark and I would marry soon, and he didn't want me seeing someone with feelings for her friend's fiancé. Who knows what I said that triggered Sarah, but her actions were more extreme than I expected. In the end, she got a life sentence for murder. When I visited her in prison, she regretted killing Mark in a moment of anger. I had to tell her Mark never knew about her feelings, that her name wouldn't be remembered, and her friendship only mattered to the old me. Chloe and Mark never even thought of her. Mark's disgusting comment? Just a fake recording I made. Sarah was shocked, then lunged at me, screaming insults. I watched coldly as guards pulled her away. But I asked one last question. When Chloe was bullied at school, was that you pretending to be me? Sarah froze, guilt clear on her face. Even someone like her could feel guilty. Back then, hiding behind friendship, she framed me so easily. That's why Chloe and I grew apart so quickly. That's why Mark said I had become mean. That's how Sarah joined their new group as a helper. What's sad is no one, not my family, not those I loved, ever asked for my side. They didn't even bother to question my change just because I loved Mark and he moved on. No one truly tried to know me, but thankfully, I don't need them anymore. Stepping out of the prison, my phone buzzed. A familiar number. Got what you wanted? Chloe's voice was different now, warmer, with a laugh. Clearly, she's happier these days. Not quite, I said softly. There's one more person I can't let go. You told me to get back at everyone who wronged me, so now, Chloe, I'm coming for you.